Bueno, bienvenidos a Tiempo Fuera. Hoy estamos con Ivan Alipiev. It's that how you pronounce your last name? I'm sorry.
It's Ivan Alipiev, yeah.
Ivan Alip. I'll do it again just so that I have the pronunciation. It's
No
Alipiev.
worries.
Okay.
Yeah,
Bueno, bienvenidos a Tiempo Fuera. Hoy estamos con Ivan Alipiev. First of all, Ivan, how are you doing?
good, man. I'm good. Thank you for this platform. Thank you for the opportunity. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. Sadly, Luca, my co-host, can't be here. I don't know if you follow a lot of football, but
I do.
he's going to Qatar. He's fortunate enough, and he's preparing everything because he's going tomorrow. So he's a bit complicated at times, but he couldn't come. So, but we really wanted to have this interview, so I'm here.
He's a lucky man, man. He's a lucky man.
Absolutely. Well, but Bulgaria, it's not qualified, right?
No, 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 no. It's been a
So,
while since they qualified.
so who are you rooting for?
Well, honestly, I don't know. I'm a big Cristiano Ronaldo fan, so most likely gonna be, rooting for Portugal. Who else? I love England. I'm a Manchester United fan, so I want to see how far England can go. But I think my favorite team this championship is gonna be probably Portugal. Most likely Portugal.
I'm from Uruguay, and in the group phase, we're against Portugal. So I don't want Portugal to do anything good.
Yeah, no, I believe you. I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all.
Well, and the first thing that we usually ask players to kind of go through the beginning of everything is who or what introduced you to the world of basketball?
Well, it's funny we talked about football first because growing up in Bulgaria, football being the prime sport out there, the primary sport, I wanted to be a football player. And my dad, my uncle, my granddad, even my mom, all of them played basketball. And I was like one of the only like people in the family that really wanted to play another sport. But my dad introduced me, my dad and one of his best friends introduced me to basketball. He put me in the gym one day and, I loved it. And ever since it's been just one love, playing basketball every day, just thinking about basketball. It's been my life since I've been like what, 6, 7, 8 years old. It's been a while, like 15, 16 years. It's been one part of my life.
Absolutely. And also, one thing that I noticed is that you started playing pro at a very young age. You played in the Bulgarian first division. Almost, I believe you were like 16 or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I started glad, I'm very happy and glad I had coaches like the ones I had back home that gave me an opportunity to, try what the professional league is like before I even like was old enough to actually sign a contract or whatever to play in Europe. So I played there for 2, 3 years, I think, since from 2015 to 2018. And summer of 2018 is when I moved to college and went to LMU in LA. And yeah, spent four, you know, great years, filled with a lot of memories, good and bad at the same time. Sadly, I didn't play my senior year, but you know, things worked out well. And I'm in Italy playing in Serie A2. I can't be more happy.
Yeah, the Serie A and the, well, I believe it's called Lega and Lega B, if I'm correct. Uh, they are both two tough competitions in Italy because right now they have an amazing talent in both leagues. I follow a lot of European basketball, and Italy is one of the countries that stands out to me the most this year in both divisions.
Oh yeah, no, and especially here in Serie A2 where we play, the competition is really good. You see a lot of former first league players that are coming back to this league because first of all, as I said, competition is great. Second of all, money is great. When it comes to money, the league is, phenomenal. For a second league, it's not the first league in Italy, but for a second league, the money and the conditions and everything is phenomenal. And then you have great competition, great level of basketball. As I said, you have many former first league players. Then you have some great, foreigners. Like every team has the right to have only two foreign players outside of Italy in their teams. And, I'm more than blessed to be one of the guys on our team that is, outside of Italy. So I have a huge responsibility coming with this. But overall, it's a great league. And in my position where I'm at right now, my situation, starting my career professionally, officially professionally after college, this is a great place to start my career.
Absolutely. And well, you just mentioned that the competitiveness and the other teams have very great players, also your team, but the others as well. But throughout your career, before in Bulgaria or even at college or right now, who do you think it's the toughest player that you ever went against?
That's a good question because honestly, I've played against a lot of European players that are playing at a very, very high level right now, either NBA, EuroLeague, or whatever, even in college as well. But some of the best players I've played against are probably going to be in college. Some like I don't want to say the best players, but the most famous names
Yeah,
nowadays.
yeah,
It's probably like Jalen Suggs or Rui Hachimura. That was my freshman year. I played against Rui Hachimura, Brendan Clark from Memphis. Who else? Let me think. Yeah, a lot of Gonzaga players because Gonzaga was in our conference. We used to play against them a lot. Uh, in Europe, I played against Luka Šamanić, who was drafted in 2019. Played in San
yeah.
Antonio, really good player. I want to say out of all the people I named, he might be the best player out of them, and I would say he's probably the best player I've played against. A very, very special talent. But yeah, there's a lot of names in Europe. In college, there's a lot of names, players that I've played against, even in like practices, like just really good NBA
Yeah,
players pulling up to our gym, playing open runs and stuff like that. That's just an amazing experience.
absolutely. And well, going back into the current league, the Serie A2, what do you expect? How do you expect the season to go? Do you have the power enough to go all the way and go to the first division, or what is your goal?
Well, of course, as a competitor, my goal is to win the league and, qualify for first league next year and, see how that goes. But I would say as I said earlier, the level of the competition in this league is so high that there's not one team, you can't really
Yeah,
look
yeah,
at the rankings and see like let's say next week you're playing against this team and you see that they're at the bottom of the table. You can relax and say, oh yeah, they haven't won one game this season or something like that, because every team in this league is pretty equal and like pretty solid teams, so you can't relax at all. But our goal right now as a team is, of course, to qualify for the playoffs, aim for like a higher spot in our league, and eventually the end goal of the season is to qualify for first league. And I genuinely believe it's possible. We've played some good teams. Last night we got a really big dub against a team that, in my opinion, might be the best team in the league. And it's a really slept on team. Their overall rankings are just amazing. 6 wins and 1 loss before last night, and we gave them their second loss of the season. I think that we have a pretty big chance to put ourselves out there and win the league.
great. And also one thing that I noticed, especially this past week, I know you have like a national team window, and you went and played for Bulgaria, I believe, for the Euro Cup qualifiers, if I'm correct.
Yeah. For Eurobasket 2025.
Yeah. How is the national team experience on itself? I know every athlete, one of the most amazing things that could happen to any athlete is to be to represent their country in their respective sports. But how did you feel when you got that call that you were going to represent Bulgaria?
Well, every time you get called for the national team is just a whole different experience, and it's like every time you get the same feeling over and over again, no matter how long you've been playing for that team. I've been playing for Bulgaria, like under 16, under 18, under 20, all those, different groups, but it's a completely different feeling when you get called for the senior team and, play for the men's national team, Eurobasket, World Cup qualifiers, Eurobasket 2025 qualifiers, all that stuff. And as you said, it's probably one of the proudest moments of an athlete's career to play and represent your national team. And it's for a reason, like the whole country's watching you. You're out there
Absolutely.
representing flag, your name, like your name, your family, everybody. It's just an amazing feeling, and I don't think I could be more proud of that.
That's amazing to hear. And also, one thing that we usually like to ask is, surrounding the number selection, we know you were number 35 in both your team and the Bulgarian national team. Is there a reason why you were that number?
Well, that's the thing. I've always played number 8 in my career, growing up till I went to college. But in college, there's specific numbers you
Yeah,
can't, as you probably know. And I couldn't play number 8, so I decided to go with the second number I really like, and that was number 35. Mostly because my favorite player is Kevin Durant. And I want to be like KD. Wanted to be like KD. Now I'm in a lane of my own, and I want to be myself. The best version of
absolutely.
myself. But also, 3 plus 5 is 8. And here, like with the national team, number 35 was somebody else was playing with it. Number 8, somebody else was playing with it. So I picked number 0. And here in Latino, where I'm playing right now, was the same situation. Number 8 was occupied, so I had to play with number 35.
Great to hear. When you were telling the story of number 8, how was banned, and I was trying to connect the dots, and I figured that it was Katie. I kind of
Yeah,
connected the dots.
yeah.
Is he
Yeah.
your favorite player overall?
Yes. I've always been a big Katie fan. Ever since he got drafted in the league. I, him and Paul Pierce. I've always been a huge Paul Pierce fan. Like he's probably my first favorite player, Paul Pierce. But ever since Katie got drafted, like I've been a huge Katie fan. Like I've probably watched every one of his highlight tapes that it's on YouTube. At some point I was literally watching Katie highlights before every game just to feel like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go do that tomorrow morning when we play or whatever. Obviously, not to that level, but I had that I'm gonna be like him.
Yeah, well, KD right now is kind of struggling with the Nets. They have the Kyrie out because of the things he does off court,
Yeah,
and Ben Simmons is I don't really want to say this, but he's an absolute mess right now. Uh,
a mess for the past 1 or 2 years. But I feel like he'll figure it out. Both of them, KD, Ben Simmons, even Kyrie. Kyrie will figure it out. He'll be back in no time because I don't think he has
yeah,
any body.
yeah. Well, and you also were saying that you watch KD's tapes before the game to try to do some of his moves. But is there something else that you do always before a game?
Well, that with the KD tapes and all that was a while ago, when I was young. I don't do that anymore. But now as a professional, I have more professional routines and stuff like that I do. I try to eat the same meal before every game. I try to, I shower before every game, brush my teeth, do like some hygiene routines like that before every game. Try to take a nap. But it's pretty much like once you get in a routine like that, me and one of my teammates were just talking about it today, that once you start getting in a routine and build some habits before games or before practice, whatever, your body just starts feeling even better and better, and you get used to it. And that's how like professional athletes are. If you see some of the greatest athletes outside of basketball, for example, Rafael Nadal,
Yeah.
Serena Williams, um, who else? I've been watching like interviews like Cristiano Ronaldo. I've been watching like a lot of interviews of some top professional athletes, and they all say the same thing. They have the same pregame, pre-match, whatever routine, and stick to it for the past 20 years, and they've been successful. You could see they've been very successful.
Yeah, Nadal very apart from his pre-game routine, he always does this thing before he throws the ball. I don't know how you say it in English when you play. He always does the like comb his hair twice, bounces ball like 5 times, then pauses, then bounces ball like 5 times more. He's extremely skeptical in that area.
Absolutely. But I guess that's what makes him great.
Yeah, absolutely. Not for nothing, he's one of the greatest tennis players of all time.
Absolutely, for sure.
Great, and also, going back to right now, is there something what is something that you're currently working on, or what is the thing that you're working on the most currently?
You mean on the court or like off the court?
In practices, to improve your game overall.
Well, I'm glad I have a great coach where I'm at right now because he is a really, really smart coach, very experienced, and sees some of the things I'm lacking, either offense, defense, whatever. And, he's been giving me a couple tasks, a couple things to work on for the future that, he's basically telling me, like, you don't understand that if you perfect those things I'm gonna give you to work on in a couple of years, you could be at a very high level league and competition, and fulfill your dreams and become the player you want to be. But I don't know, maybe some of the things I work on is definitely shooting from like dribble shooting, like pull-ups, mid-ranges and stuff like that. Try to keep a good level of like, because one of the main things I do is shoot the three. And as a 3-point shooter, you always got to work on your craft. You got to always be in shape. You got to put your reps in, mace in, all that stuff. I just try to every day I go in the gym. I try to make a couple, like not a couple, but obviously some shots that I work on that I use in the game and stuff like that.
Absolutely. 1 second, because my roommate is currently talking, and I don't want. I will cut this out. I'm terribly sorry, but
No, don't worry, man. Don't
one
worry.
second.
It's all good.
I'm so sorry.
No worries, man. It's all good.
It's funny because they work. I'm still in college, so I I have this podcast as a side
Where
hustle.
where are you at right now? Like, are you in Uruguay or somewhere else?
And I'm in Chile. It's a funny story. I was born in Mexico, but then I moved to Argentina, and now I live in Chile. But all my family is from Uruguay, so I'm
Oh,
basically Uruguayan.
okay, 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 okay. I see.
Well, and continuing the interview is uh, what 1 second. What is your top 5 players of all time? You mentioned that you like KD a lot and you like Paul Pierce, but if you had to give me your top 5 as of now, as of today, who would that be?
That's a good question. You mean like a starting five or just whatever players?
Whatever players.
Okay. Well, I would say Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant. Uh, I want to put Kevin Durant in there. And I would say number five would be maybe Shaquille O'Neal. Because I look at it from most dominant players,
Yeah,
like not only because that's a discussion we can talk about all night. But I look at it from a perspective of players that really um, dominated the league whenever they were at their prime.
absolutely.
Some of them still in their prime or whatever. But yeah, I would say those are the five players that during the time they were in the league were probably the most dominant players.
Yeah, I believe I'm a bit controversial surrounding that question because I have my number one, Michael Jordan, obviously, but my number two is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Uh,
I don't
that
know. I really understand it. I mean, there's stats talk about it a lot. If you think about it, that's the player that scored the most points all time. There's a lot of people that would say that he is top five ever.
Yeah, I had him at number one because he won 6 rings, same as Michael Jordan. He is the leading scorer of all time. He invented basically a new shot that it was unguardable, the hook shot.
Yeah,
He's one of the top rebounders of all time in the NBA, and and it was like that. I believe Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was the greatest until I saw the Last Dance documentary, and I understood the greatness of Michael Jordan, basically.
that I feel like that documentary was made for a reason, man. It was made for a reason.
Yeah, I think there's a rumor that when LeBron James won the finals in 2020 in the bubble, Michael Jordan, as soon as that happened, called the production and said, "We're going to post this as soon as possible to, retrieve all the greatness."
You know, you never know if that's true or not. I mean, it is what it is. It's still a competition, man. Michael Jordan is a competitor. He sees LeBron building up his legacy as a competitor. He wants to be on top of it. So I don't blame him for that.
Absolutely. And well, going into the second section, there are two more sections, but they are much, much shorter. So we're not going to take that much time.
No worries.
This second section is one in which the previous player we interviewed, in this case, is Justin Lindler. He now is a coach, but he was last year in FSU in Florida State. Uh, and he left a question for you, and hopefully when you answer the question after, you can give me a question to ask the next guest. And the question he left for you is, who is one coach in your life that kind of marked you?
Ooh, that's a good question. That's a very good question because I would say in my career I've had coaches that have marked me in a good and a bad way as well. I don't want to name those that have marked me in a bad way, but the one that definitely marked me in a good way was probably, I would say two of them. My first coach growing up, her name is Emilia Kristeva, and she is a coach back home. Works for this academy that I started playing. She's the one that built the discipline not only on the court but off the court for me, outside of my parents, of course. And the second one, I don't know. Second one, that's tough because I have and almost all the coaches I've worked with in Bulgaria are a huge part of my life and really, at some point, really helped me and made me the player I am today. But maybe I would say my first professional coach, the one that gave me my first chance as a professional player, that was a big moment for me, to see what the professional life is like, experience that stuff. So definitely my first professional coach.
Great. And do you have the question to want to leave for the next guest? We can give you time in this one.
No, I think I know what I want to ask. Whoever the next guest is, I want to ask them this question whenever they were at their lowest point of their career, if they have ever had a point like this, but most of the players have had a point like this. What is the one thing, or who is the person that helped them get out of this position and this situation? Because sometimes, you need somebody to help you there or something to help you dig yourself out of this hole. But yeah, that's my question. Like, what was the thing that helped them or the person that helped them get out of this position?
Great question. I believe we never got that actually, and it's really interesting.
Yeah, because I always wonder, I've been in a position like that, and you always wonder how other people, deal with it.
Absolutely. Well, and the last section, it's called flash questions. As the name says, they are almost like rapid fire questions that have nothing to do with basketball. And,
Okay,
whenever you're ready, we go.
I'm ready, man. Shoot.
Favorite movie?
Oh, favorite movie. I want to say the James Bond series. All of
Fa-
them.
yeah, yeah. Favorite TV show?
Money Heist is definitely up there for me, and Peaky Blinders, and Money Heist.
Perfect. Not including basketball, what sport do you watch or play the most?
Football, easily.
A teammate you spend the most time with?
Well, this year, Mike Lewis the second, one of my teammates here in Latina, for sure, the guy that I spend the most time with.
A favorite food?
Bulgarian food, all types of Bulgarian food, like any day, anytime.
Favorite video game?
Favorite, what? I'm sorry?
Video game.
FIFA. Yeah, I'm a FIFA guy. FIFA and sometimes 2K if I'm feeling it, but mostly FIFA.
Hot or cold?
Hot, definitely hot.
One dream left to accomplish, not basketball related.
Uh, you know, have a family, have a, wife, kids, just build my own family one day and take care of them.
Perfect. Favorite artist or musician?
Lil Baby. I'm a huge Lil Baby fan.
And finally, favorite basketball shoes?
Oh, Kobe 5. Kobe 5 is actually one of the best shoes I've ever put on. And it's either that or, yeah, my most likely is Kobe 5.
Great. Yeah. They
I
are
just actually got a pair on the way that I'm super excited to get, because last time I wore a pair of Kobe 5s. It was maybe 10 years ago, and it wasn't even mine. I just tried it for like a week, and it's like unbelievable experience. I hope it's the same now when you order them, but you never know.
great. That's one of the ones that we get the most. But out here, it's really difficult to get those kind of pairs.
No, I believe it. It's pretty much difficult everywhere right now with the situation and everything. But as soon as I got my hands on a pair, I was like, yeah, I need to order them immediately.
Perfect. Well, Ivan, that's basically it. We really appreciate you taking the time to be here, and we'll keep in touch to tell you the status of the interview and everything.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for the platform, and good luck to you guys. And excited to see you guys build up and grow up as a platform.
Perfect. See you.
Thank you. Bye.